Starting with Philip Lee, who's standing for the Conservatives. Good morning, Philip.
Morning, Andrew.
We've got John Piasecki, the Labour candidate. Morning, John.
Good morning.
Ray Erica, the Lib Dem. Morning, Ray.
Morning, Andrew.
And Murray Barter is the UKIP candidate, who's here as well. Good morning, Murray.
Good morning, Andrew.
Let's start with this MP's expenses thing, because this is definitely what people in Bracknell are still talking about. We found that out when we went out on the streets of the constituency last week. Philip Lee, you replace Andrew Mackay as the Conservative candidate in Bracknell at this election. This is your opportunity to tell the people in the constituency that you're as cross about what Andrew Mackay did as they are.
Well, it's as you say, Andrew. Today is the final day of Andrew's political career, and that, as far as I'm concerned, is the line drawn in the sand. Going forward, I think all politicians and whoever's successful in Bracknell need to behave with honour and dignity, and I intend to do so.
Do you believe that Andrew Mackay hasn't behaved with honour and dignity? I
think Andrew made some incorrect decisions with regards to the way in which he claimed his expenses, and I can promise you that I will not do the same.
Are you cross with him?
I'm not cross with him. I meet more people in Bracknell constituency who think he was a great constituency MP. In fact, I've got pretty big boots to fill.
People do say that, but people are certainly cross with him, and if you're not cross, then you're not where the voters are.
They are cross, but what they tend to get very sort of frustrated and quite angry with him, and then they move on to other things. As far as I'm concerned, the people of Bracknell that I have met, and I've met thousands over the last 6 months, are quite eager to get on with things and get on with a new member of Parliament.
What he did was wrong, yeah?
I've already said it was wrong.
And he should have known that. It might have been under the rules and all of that, but he should have had the sense to see that it was wrong.
We could have a lengthy discussion about how everybody was advised to claim their expenses, and for those of us who have no political connections from the past, such as myself, I look at it with amazement, but that's the way it was. It isn't like it anymore.
Are you happy that today Andrew Mackay gets a payoff of 50-60 grand and a pension pot worth in total 1.8 million?
His pension pot is to do with the fact that he's been a member of Parliament for the best part of 28 years, and with regards to his payoff, no, I'm not happy about that, and I'm not going to be getting one myself.
Let's see
if I'm elected.
Let's see what the other candidates have got to say about it. Let's bring on Ray Erica for the Lib Dems. What do you think about Andrew Mackay's demise, which is why we've got you guys in the studio talking about who's going to be the new MP?
Well, initially I was shocked because he'd been MP for 28 years and he'd built up quite a good reputation in the constituency, and it was quite a shock when we discovered that in fact he'd been making these claims along with his wife for a number of years, and this added up to about £250,000.
For the two of them?
For the two of them, yeah. And the amount that they've paid back is only 60,000, which is just about the same as the resettlement amount that he's now going to get.
And all they were required to pay back, to be fair.
Well, that's right, yes. So in effect, he's not out of pocket at all. He's managed to build up a very nice property in London, and he now has a pension pot of £40,000 a year. So, in a way, he's done very well out of the system, I think. Whether the system meant to work that way or not, he obviously decided that, along with the advice from the fees office, he could do it, and that's what he did, and now he's paid the price.
John Piasecki for Labour.
It was mentioned that he was a good constituency MP, and I believe that was the case, but you can't use that as an excuse for then playing fast and loose with the expenses system. My view was always that if you're not in a position to stand and look the voters in the eye and tell them what you are claiming, then you shouldn't be claiming it. And I don't think Andrew Mackay would have dared 5 or 6 years ago to stand there and tell people what he was doing. Certainly when he apologised at the large public meeting, immediately after apologising, he then started to qualify it by saying it wasn't his fault, it was the fees office. I don't think in the end he was ever really, truly sorry. I think he feels hard done by, which I don't think is...
He said he was sorry. I mean, he said he was sorry on the programme.
Oh, he said he was sorry, but he then went on to say, but it wasn't my fault, I was advised by the fees office I could take the money, which is not really the same thing as being genuinely sorry.
Murray Barter for UKIP.
Well, I think as a taxpayer, like I think we all are here, I was absolutely disgusted and outraged by the amount of money that the man took, and also, as has already been said, the amount of money that he was asked to pay back was hardly scratching the surface with the amount of money that was claimed. But also beyond that, I think what was disappointing was that he was still allowed to remain in office for almost 10 months beyond the time when it was actually hitting the headlines for the first time. And there's no action made to deselect him. He didn't resign. He wasn't even censored by the local Bracknell Conservative Association. He wasn't even condemned by them. So I'm quite surprised that that was allowed to continue, and I think that also makes them as culpable as well.
Let me just go round the panel quickly with a question from David in Binfield, who wants to know what you guys would like to see changed about the rules governing MPs so that this kind of thing can't happen again with whichever one of you is elected in other constituencies as well. Ray?
Well, you know, everyone sort of, I think, underestimates the amount of work that MPs do. It is a very busy job, and it deserves to be paid reasonably and fairly.
MPs paid enough?
I think they need to cover their costs because they do a very expensive job, doing lots of different things. I would accept an increase, but the allowances have really got to be changed, and we've got to put it on a much more manageable level.
That's Ray Erica, the Lib Dem candidate. John Piasecki for Labour.
I think as far as the expenses are concerned, they have to be open and transparent and available to the public, certainly so people can see what's being claimed. I think the mortgage interest was wrong. I think you should be in a position, if you live outside of Westminster, to claim for rented accommodation so you can't make any capital gains. The salary, I think there are many people could argue that perhaps it could be higher. I think it's somewhere around about 65, 66,000, which for many people is a good salary, but there are many who would earn a lot more than that.
Brave candidates in Bracknell saying MPs should be paid more. I've got to say, Philip Lee, what do you think for the Tories?
Well, I would agree with John. I think transparency is the key here. The independent parliamentary authority that's been set up has decided what it's going to do with regards to payment, and it is based on need, as in what we've actually spent, and on transparency. In terms of whether we should be paid more or not, I think most people would rather have a situation where we had a salary and fewer expenses, and if that's the case, then the salary would go up as a consequence. So
you think that as well? MPs should be paid more?
Yes, actually. I mean, let's be honest. I think they should be, but I think it should be in line and perhaps fixed with senior civil servants in the future, so that we don't have to keep voting on it, so that we look like we're trying to improve our own situation, when in fact what we should be doing is getting on with serving our constituents.
Interested to hear what you want to say about this. What do you make of the fact that we've got the three major parties in the studio all saying MPs should get more salary, standing in Bracknell? I wasn't expecting that this morning.